Hey everybody, I'm Dumb Zach, and today we're going to be going over Starfield Direct Notes and the Xbox Game Showcase for 2023. Now, this is going to be honest reviews by honest gamers. So we're going to give you the facts first and the opinions second, because above all else, the facts are what really matters. Now, let's start out by saying that in the showcase they showed 11 first-party games, 14 other games, 16 Day 1 Game Pass release games, and 10 world premiere games. All of them drastically diverse in their own way, but not in a bad way. So now, they kicked off with updates on the new Fable, talking just mostly a engine showcase, if I remember correctly. Now, it's supposed to show what they're going for, showing that they're really going back to their roots with Fable, given the humor and overall just atmosphere. They're going to be bringing Fable into the modern era with this next rendition of the series. Now, right behind that was a world premiere for South of Midnight. Now, as far as I can tell, because there wasn't a lot of information about it, it's a Southern Gothic themed. Now, that's from what I gather. I didn't see anything that it was said Southern Gothic, but it is a third person action-based magic game. And it's supposed to be an RPG. That being said, it is also a Day 1 Game Pass release. We also got Star Wars news. Now, weirdly enough about this next one, okay? We're getting a new Star Wars RPG. It's called Star Wars Outlaws. The weird part about this is that it's actually being developed by our good friends Ubisoft. It is also going to be, from what I gather, the first Star Wars game based between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Now, in other news, I saw this was not in the game showcase. This is just June news. But Dead by Daylight is coming in with a new killer and a Nicolas Cage survivor, which should be pretty interesting. I saw something about that this morning on Dead by Daylight's page. Now, back onto the Xbox Game Showcase. We got roguelike news, everybody. So if you like roguelikes and you like playing with your friends, you're going to love this next one. It is called 33 Immortals, and it is coming in 2024. It is also a Day 1 Game Pass release, but it's your standard roguelike. If you want to look more into it, go ahead and look more into it, as I'm just brushing lightly onto these. But the coolest part about this is that it is a 33-player co-op. So I don't even have that many friends. So I feel like this is going to be good for everybody with a large amount of friends in roguelikes. As for Payday news, they released the official trailer for Payday 3. Now that is coming on 9/21/2023. It is also a Day 1 Game Pass release. Now we also got news on Persona 3. They're going to completely remake that game, and it'll be coming out early 2024. Now, this one is one of the ones that I'm pretty excited for 2024. Obsidian immediately came in hot on this game showcase with Avowed. Now, everything I can gather from Avowed so far, as just them showing gameplay bits and pieces, from what I can gather so far, is that it's going to be really combat based. It's going to be magic, sword, and bow. The bow play looked like any other bow play, but now the swords, when I saw them playing with the swords, it really reminded me of Kingdom Come Deliverance with that in-depth, just overall sword play. And the magic, I have never seen anything like that magic used in that game, besides things out of Blade and Sorcery. You pull out a book and you pull the spells out of the book, and they're all drastically different. And it's not your basic just one animation where you throw it out of your hand or you do a shout or something like that. I mean, like, there's some where you smash the ground, there's some where you use environments. I mean, it looks like it'd be pretty interesting on just the combat aspects alone. But given that it's Obsidian, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that it's going to have a very refreshing story. Now, immediately on to the next bit is Sea of Thieves. Now, they released this, I don't want to call it a teaser because it's coming out pretty soon, but it's just an official trailer for their next free DLC. And that's going to be coming on July 20th. And it's called The Legend of Monkey Island. And if it's anything like the trailer, I really have high hopes for this one. I believe it'll be even bigger than when they did the Pirates of the Caribbean partnership thing. Now, this next one is also a world premiere, and I'm going to take a minute to talk about this one. I didn't do a ton of research because, again, this is mainly Starfield focused, but the new Microsoft Flight Simulator looks like it'll have jobs, which is exactly what would have kept me going on the first Microsoft Flight Simulator, because as it goes now, it's just a great simulator game. But with what they're planning on adding, it almost adds an aspect of grind. Now, if you follow my Twitch or watch some of the videos that I'm just now realizing I deleted, you'll know I love grinding. And the reason I think that there's going to be a grind aspect to this new Microsoft Flight Simulator is because they're adding jobs like, let's see, there was a mountain rescue, there was a cargo transport, there was one that called it cargo operations, where you go drive or fly, to remote locations. There was like Coast Guard rescues. There was just all sorts of little jobs that they're adding. Firefighters, all sorts of stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be in the simulator aspect or if that's going to be like American Truck Simulator aspect, where you kind of work jobs to earn money to buy more things and upgrades and stuff. But I'm curious to see how that goes. Immediately up on that, we got updates on Hellblade 2. I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about this game. The trailer looked very interesting, though. I highly recommend you guys go check it out. It kind of seemed more like a psychological play on a game. Immediately after that was the reveal for Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. They did not talk much on this game. It was just a reveal, so it was a little teaser, and it was in its own Yakuza fashion. It was kind of funny. But from what I can gather, I think that you're in America, but don't quote me on that. Just because the trailer shows the main character on a beach, and then everybody's speaking English, but it's with an American accent. Now, immediately after Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was, they call it the Call of 76. But it was just Fallout 76 announcing a new DLC. And it is the Atlantic City DLC, so that would be very interesting. Now, as we know, the last big DLC was Into the Pit. And from what I can gather from most honest reviews, it was relatively good. Especially for people that loved the Fallout 3 DLC. But enough with that, as it was just a little DLC. I mean, nothing crazy. Didn't really talk too much about it. All I know is that it looks cool. After that was the world premiere of Capcom's game, Path of the Goddess. Now that is a day one Game Pass release, and is supposed to be a fast-paced medieval fantasy game. It's also very Japanese inspired, as in legends and the things you fight. So that'll be very interesting to see as days come. Now, we got Forza Motorsports 8. Apparently, they partnered with General Motor Company. And they are going to be, well, there's going to be a lot of cars in it. But the ones that they talked about in this game showcase. Thanks. Now, the ones they talked about in this game showcase were the Corvette E-Ray and the new V-Series R. Now, that will be coming October 20th, 2023, and will be a day one Game Pass release. Now, after that, I'm not going to go too in-depth on it. This has been announced for a very long time. It was just going, hey, this is coming. Elder Scrolls Online Necrom is coming in 9 days. Yeah, today's the 11th. And they just released a little trailer for that. We've been anticipating this. It's Elder Scrolls Online. It's a new year. We're waiting for that big update. Now, after that was Overwatch. So coming August 10th, their campaign update comes out. Now with their campaign update, they have a new game mode called Flashpoint, as well as new co-op game modes in it. They're bringing a firing range and a few other things along with that firing range for training. Like it's called Hero something. I'm sorry I did not write that down, but it's hero training. Hero Mastery is what it was called. Now, the real kicker with that, they have what they're calling a new hero starter pack. So that'll have all the ones that have released since Overwatch 2 dropped. So we got Sojourn, Ramatra, Kiriko, Lifeweaver. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. But it'll just be the ones so far, which leads to the question. Where they're doing all these battle passes, are they going to implement something like Ubisoft did on Rainbow Six Siege, where they have year passes? So for that year, you will get all the operators released. Operators, heroes, whatever you want to call them. So it's kind of interesting to see the direction they're going to pull with that. In other news, Persona Tactica, which will be coming 11/17/2023. It'll also be a day one Game Pass release. Now, I don't know much about Persona, but what I can gather is it's just iconic Persona characters set in a tactician type game. So, expect it to be turn-based is kind of what I'm getting at with that. But again, I don't know too much about that, so we'll proceed on. Starfield released their trailer. Now, this game has been 25 years in the making. And off of their gameplay trailer, I think it is ridiculously beautiful. Now, as for the main focus of this is going to be Starfield. We go more into that later, so let's proceed on. We got the world premiere of Jusant. I may be pronouncing that wrong. It's Jusant. Now, that is a day one Game Pass release. And from what I can gather, it is a rock climbing game. But it is from the developers of Life is Strange. So expect a very story-rich game with that. It did show a very interactive environment and a unique take on a rock climbing game. It wasn't so much as in it's all just rock climbing is what I'm getting at. Like there appears to be a story and everything around you's alive, but there's not much on that. Now, we also got a world premiere of Still Wakes the Deep. Now, that is coming early 2024. It'll be a day one Game Pass release, and it'll be a first-person horror game from the developers of Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. So that'll be very unique to see. Amnesia is a notoriously, well, depending on who you ask, scary, creepy, environmental game. It all depends on who you ask. But let's just go on from that because there's not a lot about it. And I'm not big on scary games. So I don't know too much. I can't tell you too much. So after that, we saw, I don't believe it was a world premiere, but we saw more of Dungeons of Hinterberg. Now, I may be pronouncing that wrong as it is Austrian. But basically, it's an action-adventure RPG, and it's set around a new tourist hotspot in the Alps. So, expect lots of monster slaying, and from what I can gather from the trailer, again, don't quote me on this, but very kind of grind-oriented, kind of like Monster Hunter World. But enough of that. On for the next part. Now, this is going to be one of the most in-depth parts behind Starfield, and we got more of Phantom Liberty, and they officially released their gameplay trailer. Now, in Phantom Liberty, Johnny and V will reunite on a spy mission, which has a lot of potential, especially since you're not going to be in the standard Night City. You're going to be going to a new city called Dogtown. And in Dogtown, you'll be conducting missions to find Myers, or otherwise known as the President of the new United States of America. In this twisty, multi-ending DLC, they will be introducing another actor, kind of as Keanu Reeves was Johnny Silverhand. We will have Idris Elba as Secret Agent Solomon Reed. So I like his work. It'll be very interesting for me to see him in Phantom Liberty. But even if you don't get it for the actor purposes, which of course I am not, this looks like it's going to be a great addition to Cyberpunk as we know and love. Because Dogtown, while it does look like the rest of Night City, is very American based. As in, everybody you talk to is going to have that American accent. They all speak English. It's kind of run down. It's very violent. So it'll be interesting nonetheless to see this new environment and a new take. After that, get ready, management people, because we have City Skylines 2, and this will be coming October 24th and is also a day one Game Pass release. Now, from what I can gather on the trailer, it is going to have all the aspects of the first City Skylines, but rather than having DLCs, it's all just going to be there. Now, of course, there's probably going to be DLCs to add on to that, but I mean, like, you're going to have, I didn't see anything about air travel, but you're going to have your trains, you're going to have your transits, you're going to have your new skyscrapers. But it is a new take on City Skylines. If you're interested in that, I highly recommend taking a look at that for yourself, as I cannot include pictures. But it's just going to be revamped with all of the same systems we know and love. But again, there will be a lot with that, and I'm very interested to see how that develops as it comes along. Oh, in other news, a new game was announced in the style of Persona that is also going to be a RPG. Now, this one is called Metaphor. From what I saw, as it is a world premiere, so the trailer's not very in-depth, it definitely looks interesting to say the least. So, for any of you that liked Persona or games like it, it might not be the worst idea to check this one out and follow how this develops. So, next up we have a new game called Towerborn, which is a brand new action RPG, but it's in a new sense. And from what I can gather, it's kind of got management aspects of it. It's, well, it's as it says. Towers are a very important part of this game. Now, the only thing I really know about this game is that it's being developed by Stoic, and they have some pretty good titles under their belt. But on to the next bit, because I don't know too much about Towerborn. We have another world premiere where you change the past and the future in a very unique way. Now, this next game is called Clockwork Revolution. And from what I can gather, first of all, the atmosphere looks very Bioshock related, especially Infinite. But it's also kind of got aspects of Deathloop in it. So it's very interesting to see how this is going to go because, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When it first came on screen, I thought it was another Bioshock. And then they started playing around, and I definitely saw Deathloop aspects in it. But basically, you go back in time and just change whatever you want. But it looks like anything you do is going to have quite a butterfly effect that will change the future in a drastic way. And you'll see that all throughout the world. But, on to the next bit. There is a new supply of Xbox Series X's coming in to meet the demands of gamers. So, for all these games coming out, there will be Series X's to go around. So, you know, you won't have to buy from scalpers or overpay. You should be able to get some for the standard price. But, to add on, Xbox is also pulling something new out. The Series S is getting a revamp. It'll be carbon black, but it's going to meet the demand of gamers and games getting larger by having a 1 terabyte SSD built into it. So that really does just show that they're starting to listen to their users because, just simply put, they did not have enough space for games. Now, that will be coming September 1st, 2023. Now, for the time that you have all been waiting for, my summarization of the Starfield Direct. Now, It starts us off with Todd Howard kind of walking us through basically all the basics and talking about how this universe has been 25 years coming. Because this is going to be the space game of all space games with large Bethesda aspects of it. You will notice a lot of Elder Scrolls features in it, a lot of Fallout features in it, and you will really see where they've blended this together in a perfect harmony, as well as it being a exceptionally diverse space game. We will talk more on how diverse it is in a moment. But the universe is absolutely massive, with over 1,000 planets to explore. Now, here's the thing about these 1,000 planets, okay? They have a system. So every time you pull up, it develops these planets. Now, dumbing that down from what they described, it'll be massive replay value. Because where the system develops the world, you and a friend of yours can go to the same planet and not have the same experience. So you could do one playthrough and then go for a second playthrough and not have the same experience on the same two planets, which will be very, very refreshing. And I'm even honestly, now this is an opinion, I'd be willing to say that it'll be a minute before we really see any modding for this game, as it already has vamped up building, so you won't have any of the frustrating building from Fallout 4. You go to play some things, it's not set right. You can't fly above it. It's just a pain to fit in. It'll also have extremely in-depth weapon modding, and a few of the developers even claim that it should have more weapons than any other Bethesda game in the past. But now they also said they weren't sure about that, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. It also has an extensive lighting overhaul to make the game very cinematic. So, once again, there we go. Overhaul modders. I don't see where that'll come in. So, to branch off on the 25 years to make this title, Todd Howard himself really specified that it was truly because they had to wait till now to make this game a true possibility in the way that it is, because the technology just simply didn't exist before. And it really shows how much development they put in this game, as it is classified as NASA Punk, which basically just means that while it's very NASA based, they also went for the old punk aesthetics. Everything is very, rather than sci-fi, I believe they called it sci-less. So rather than being very sci-fi and high-tech, you kind of see that it's been used. You're not going to be driving around in a brand new, flying around in a brand new ship. It's not going to be spotless. It's not going to look unused. It'll have wear and tear to it, but in its own unique way. And from what I can see from the shipbuilding that we'll cover in a second, the wear and tear really varies on how you want it to look. They really, really looked for what the player wants on this one. Like, for example, their character development. They scanned tons and tons of different people from different age groups and ethnicities to make character creation as in depth as possible, so you can make your character look exactly how you want them to look. Now, in my opinion, the way they talked about it, I think this means that they're looking for more realistic and less funny characters. So rather than making Toucan Sam, it's really going to be more like authentic people. But they really made sure to specify on anybody you see in this world, you could recreate on your own character. Now, other parts of the character development are background choices, and they really truly matter, and you will see them as you go along. So they didn't go too deep into what all the background choices are. They went more into the traits, which is very interesting to see, which I will cover here in a second. But from what I can gather, there's like 3 to 6 main background choices. And it's kind of like if you're a merchant, if you have a pirate background, mercenary background, things like that. So that'll give you dialogue options throughout the game. So now you have the traits. Now you can pick up to 3 optional traits to make yourself more you, or whatever your goal of making is. Now, one that I found most notable is called Hero Worshipped, which, for those of you who have played Oblivion, you'll be very familiar with this one, as you will have a, what did they use the word? I believe I have it written down here. An adoring fan. But rather than running up to you and hearing Biazora, 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 you hear Bivectera 3 times, which I'm not too familiar with the Starfield lore, so I believe that might be like Azora, but for Starfield, which would make sense. But this is just one of many. That's the one that stuck out to me because, like, there's that conspiracy. Is this fan Cicero in Oblivion? So does that mean because I mean it's played by like the same voice actor. Now I don't know that to be a fact, but it sounds like it. So does this mean that we have Space Cicero? So I will definitely be having fun with that one. But here's the kicker with this one, okay? Apparently, you can fix any of these traits in one way or another. And then they said that, and they showed them, aiming their shotgun at your adoring fan's head while they followed them on a planet. So does this mean that you can kill your adoring fan? That'll be interesting to see. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people are going to bully him. But that's besides the point. They have one that is called Kid Stuff. Okay? So you're an adult, but you have, like, a childhood is very present in your background. You even have parents, okay, that you can go visit. And they have parent-like dialogue, which was really interesting to see. I've never seen that done in an RPG game, base game. So, do I have any other ones? No, I really just wanted to talk about the adoring fan. Now, there's also religious traits that'll help you out throughout the system. There's also religious traits that'll help you throughout systems and dialogue options, which will be very interesting to see. But again, these are all optional. It's you to make yourself you. Okay, so they also showed quite a bit of combat, and if I do say so myself, it looks very smooth. Very clean, even, if you would. And they went to talk about that your strategy will actually have to change depending on the environment you're in, because standard powder weapons, I believe they call them mag weapons, will propel you backwards in 0G, while energy weapons are more refined and they will not propel you backwards. So you're going to have to change your combat as you go. And with the extensive weapon modding, you'll have different weapons for different environments by the look at it. Now, sadly, from what I can gather, now this may not be sadly for everybody. It's not even a terrible thing for me. But when you go to fight enemies, they have a level by their name, which makes me fear of a long grind. Like, if you go to a planet and it's level based and you're not high enough level, you're just going to get rolled. But that's all depending on how they do it. It could also be the level scale system. So it's interesting to see how they're going to go with that. There will be grind aspects, however, because you'll have to upgrade your ships, and they even have a colony system where you'll have to upgrade that, and you'll have to go mine resources to build, and nothing crazy. I mean, like, nothing more than the grind there was in Fallout. This will be very fun to see, however, because the ship customization is crazy. And this is part of what I was talking about, that I don't feel like they'll have to add mods right off the bat, because you can customize your ship exactly how you want it. They were talking about it, and I was thinking, okay, that means you can change the paint and the features. No. You change where everything's positioned. You change what is on board, the types of systems on board. I think you even change the internal looks, but I'm not too sure about the internal looks. But you can build whatever you want. There was one developer that made everything very animal based. So they had one that was like a platypus and one that was like I believe a cheetah. There was one developer who made a Voltron like mech that was flying. I mean, you truly do make your ship exactly how you want it, and then you do the paint and the systems and everything. And on top of that, you customize your crew. You're not just set with the standard crew. Oh, you've got these 12 people to choose from. You go on a planet, you like a person, you talk to them, you bring up, hey, you want to be on my crew? And they even have one, I believe they went to an asteroid place, and the dude was a geologist, and he wanted to get off the rock. So he asked if he could join your crew, and you could let him. Then he also had like a 3-star for colony development. And so he moved him to a colony to, you know, work on the colony, which is really when they started going into the colony system for mining resources. I mean, there's like oil drills, there's animal farms, there's agriculture. It'll be very, very interesting to see all that. And it's really looks like the Fallout 4 settlement system, but more in depth, which I love the settlement system. Now, as for the planets, there are full-on city planets to absolute rural planets where there's like an outpost and the rest is the boonies. But notably among these city planets is one that they called, let me find it here, New Atlantis, which is absolutely massive. But should be noted, this is not the only massive city planet. I don't have the names of the other ones, but there are plenty of them, and they're all different in their own way. There's even pleasure planets, as they called them. There's mining planets. There's all sorts of stuff. So there will be no lack of exploration and diversity. That's the main thing. Replay value. It'll be different. However, I believe these cities will be the same every time, but they went way into detail on this game, guys. Like, for example, loot goblins, like myself, are going to absolutely adore the amount of details they put in everything from, you know, spacesuits and guns to food. I mean, like, the food is ridiculously textured. Everything has its own, like, everything you can tell has been hand worked on, which I absolutely love. So, who you kill will matter. You steal their stuff, go loot some stuff, and then you've got the play style that plays into that. You can be sneaky, you can be guns blazing, you can be explosive experts, you can be melee. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and the guns are just absolutely crazy from what they've showed us so far. I've seen everything from a knife and an axe to suppressed pistol and rifles, all the way up to big grenade launchers. And I'm not talking like your standard rotating grenade launcher. I mean like a whole two-handed, kind of like the size of a minigun type deal. So it'll be very interesting to see different play styles with that. So now another very, very new and refreshing aspect of having your companions and stuff. Now I don't have the robot's name written down. That is my bad. I should have wrote it down, but I did not. But they can say your custom name. It's not like, oh, hello, Captain. They say your custom name, which I've been waiting for to be in a game for as long as I can remember. And I don't know if it's only on that robot or if it's on everybody. I can kind of see where the complication of it being on everybody could come in, so I'm kind of expecting it to only be on the robot. But regardless, it's absolutely amazing to see that they say your custom name. But, I mean, it's absolutely just diverse from your robots to you can have former mercenaries or pirates on your ship. I mean, you build your ship to you, all your companions, all of your aspects, your weaponry, everything. And the ship combat looks amazing. It's kind of like if you've ever played Star Wars Squadrons, you'll know, and now this is way more in depth. I'm just using this as like a reference point. You pick where to put your power, whether it be your jets, your shields, your weaponry, and it's not super in depth, but it's a little more in depth than just that in the game. Now there's this one perk. Let's see if I have the name written down. Okay, I don't have the name of this perk written down, but there is a specific perk in this game that lets you target specific parts of ships, kind of like VATS. So you can target their it's called like a grav something. It's kind of like a warp drive. I assume you can target life support, you can target weapons, boosters, everything like that. So that will be very fun to play with. And it kind of works like VATS, except it's real time. It doesn't pause it for you. It's just the ship combat alone is going to be extensive, which is expected considering the amount of effort they've and work that they have put in just building the ships alone. Now, back on to planets and the peoples. Now, when it comes to the people, it looks like there's going to be guild like aspects. Like there's one called the Vanguard, which are kind of like peacekeepers. There might be a miners guild. There looks to be a mercenary guild, a pirates guild, and then believe it or not, you can join a guild, or maybe it's a perk, but regardless, you can be a space cowboy. I mean, I'm talking revolver, like Winchester, everything. Space cowboy clothing. It's cool. You're essentially playing New Vegas in space. It's awesome. But on to the planet creation. They actually worked with NASA to get the basics of these planets down. Now, apart from the basics, the rest is more Bethesda. It's meant for the player to have fun, but what they were really looking for is a balance between fun and realism. So you could have fun, but it's believable. So I am very curious to see how all of that plays out. And it's just crazy to think that they've really gone out of their way to get these realism aspects into it. Because you usually play Bethesda and you're thinking, it's all just for funny. It's all, but it's really not. They really did focus on realism when it comes to the weapon play, the planets, everything. So, on to your actual playing of yourself. Now, obviously, it's a Bethesda role playing game. There's going to be first and third person, there always is. But they have come out with all new animations. So, you're not going to see the same running animations and stuff, which makes sense. I mean, you're going to be working in 0G, you're going to be wearing spacesuits, but they went out and made all new animations, which is just a fun little thing to note on top of everything else that they have already done. And like I had talked about, the weapon play is just absolutely astonishing. It's just, I mean, there was one where there was an ice spike that popped up and impaled this dude. The melee's pretty basic, if I say so myself, but it's just the weapon modding. The weapon modding is going to be crazy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. So, I could go on and on and on about all this, how it's NASA punk, how they've done all this, but I believe it's time that we come to an end, so I quit ranting and fanboying on about Starfield. So we're getting to the last bit. Collector's Edition. It's actually called a Constellation Edition, and it comes with a Constellation watch, which, from what I gather, kind of acts like a Pip-Boy. Like when the Pip-Boy came out for Fallout, you can use your watch in person, and I think it leaks to your game through your phone. But regardless, it looks very cool, and it comes with this box that they actually, talk to NASA and stuff. That's supposed to have space parts in it usually, but they have a watch in it. Now, also, notably with that, they came out with their own limited edition custom Xbox controller and headset. Now, these are based around your ship's controls. So, it's all white. It's got your Starfield colors on it. But everything else is all like ship controls. Like you have ignition, camera control. Like all the buttons have these little letters on it naming what they do, which is very, very cool. And the headset, I mean, it's your standard headset, but it's still a very cool looking aspect. And they didn't talk about this, but by the looks of it, it looks to be Bluetooth. But that's going to be it for the recap on the 2023 Xbox Game Showcase and the Starfield Direct. Now, when it comes to Starfield, I truly believe that this is going to be the future of RPG gaming. I mean, like, I haven't been this excited for a game since I was a child. It's like we finally have something new in a game. I don't know if about you guys, but I know especially for me, it feels like in the past, I don't know, 3 years, every AAA game's just kind of been the same. It's just been like, oh yeah, it's kind of new, but it's renamed on stuff that's done before. Now, again, that's my opinion, but that's just what it feels like to me. Now, this will be coming on September 6th, 2023, and of course, it's day one Game Pass, which I believe I mentioned earlier in the video. But this is just going to be absolutely astonishing, and I will be waiting anxiously for September when this finally does come out. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. And if you like this, give me a like, comment. If you don't like something, tell me that too. I'm always open for constructive criticism or criticism in general because I'm really going with a new direction with this channel. But if you like it, give it a like, comment what you like, comment if you want something done more in depth. I'll do the research, or you can research for yourself. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. See you.